Hey everyone, good evening to all of you. And you'd have seen the topic for today because this is one question I get asked multiple times every day. As you are aware, everybody is keen on knowing when the borders will open, when Australia is going to start processing immigration, because we were in a notion when the budget will be released, we will have some kind of information about skill migration, we'll have some kind of information about budget allocation. So there are a lot of questions that I get every day, and it's been a while. I've done live because of my personal commitments. So before I answer that question to each one of you, because it's difficult to send generic message when people ask, when will borders open? I wish I can type a generic message and, just push send to everyone. But it's not a straightforward answer. And that's the reason I preferred, answering this question over live. So before I even answer this question, I want to ask how many of you are ready to shoot your application when the travel ban is, released, or when the travel ban is lifted, when they're going to start processing immigration? Because out of 100 people who reach out to me, I know personally at least five people who have their documents ready, who have done their skill migration. They're only waiting for the skilled, the state nominations to be released. But the remaining 95 people have no clue about, yes, Monica, I know about you. You are one among that five. So out of other 95 people, if you see, they have no clue about the immigration steps. They haven't done the process. They have literally paused the immigration steps, and they're just blaming and waiting for the government to open the immigration process. Okay. So I really empathize with people who have everything ready. And for some people whom I know personally, their skill assessment is going to expire, their PT scores are going to expire. So that is a very, very crucial state for such people. So we have no information whether they're going to consider based on the COVID delays. So, such cases, I read in an article, if you had already applied and you're waiting for an outcome, in that case there could be a consideration depending on the case officer. So there is no for sure, so something that works for me might not work for you, so you might get some benefit, I might not get some benefit. So every case is different. Okay. So at this stage, if you haven't applied for any skill assessment, if you haven't applied for state migration, if you haven't applied for visa, I do not think you will have any particular levies or any particular consideration from the government because of the COVID delays, because of the travel ban. All right. So if the papers are sitting with the department, there is a possibility of them considering. All right. So the 95 people, okay, 95% of the people who haven't started their skill migration, who haven't collected their documents, who have no clue about immigration process, I would suggest to start doing this. I've been telling this right from March when the lockdown started, in different videos, in using different scenarios, whatever stage of immigration you are. Even if you're just thinking about immigration, how do you start proceeding during this lockdown or during this hibernation phase? If you have started your immigration phase, if you've done some basic document collection, and if you still haven't submitted for skill assessment, what are the things you have to do for skill assessment? If you have your skill assessment ready and if you are waiting for the state nomination, that's where we are stuck at this point of time. Okay, this is one clear message that I wanted to convey to everyone. Even before you ask when the government is going to open for skill migration, even before you can ask about the travel ban being lifted, ask yourself this one question: are you ready to shoot the application the minute the department opens its gate. Okay, are you so well prepared even without a single pending document? In that case, you have all the curiosity in the world, you have all the eligibility in the world to ask that question. But if you are semi prepared or completely unprepared, I would suggest don't think about what's when they will open. Focus on, I've got so much of fumes coming from my puja shelf, so it's kind of suffocating here, sorry. So if you are in that particular stage, please focus on your application, focus on the documents that are required, and then you think about what's going to happen next. Now, for the important 5 percentage of the people who are being genuinely affected because of the state nominations not being open and the government being completely silent about the immigration, all I can do is empathize and tell you all that the skill migration could be the last priority for the government. My personal opinion, again, disclaimer. So, because there's so much going on with the Australian economy, because there's so much going on in recovering the Australian economy, as you all know, or you might not know, even the student visas have not been granted for Feb 2021 intake. So they have asked, to continue online or even start online because of the travel ban. For the simple reason, Australia cannot accommodate if they have community spread. If someone is coming from overseas and it spreads to the community, it's very hard for them to manage and contain COVID. So they're just suffering with one state, Victoria. All other states have contained successfully. So a little bit of regional New South Wales, and Victoria itself is a huge economic loss to Australia. Okay, so imagine student visa. I've always emphasized that's more of an income generation for the government. If they are postponing that to end of 2021, it's simple common sense for us to know that skill migration would definitely take a back seat compared to the student visa. Okay, student visa is a huge chunk of Australian economy. Most of the academic universities are being heavily affected because of the travel ban. Students can't come in, no, not many registrations like before. So there are so many factors that have impacted. So there's no point in us thinking from one single dimensional view. So we have to understand the whole scenario. Few people get furious, few people get depressed. Do not think it's just for you. It's happening just for you. Why me? Don't go into that self-sabotage mode. That's what I keep telling you. Now, if you're doing some work, continue and prepare, because immigration is never going to stop. Okay, there's just been a delay. So many of you, out of whomever is questioning, I know you have still work to do. You're not completely prepared to shoot your application yet. So people in that particular scenario, please prepare yourself for the best. People who have little bit of less chance, say 60 points, 65 points, 70 points, what you could do to boost your points. So these are the things you have to focus, instead of blaming the government, instead of blaming COVID, instead of blaming everything on your destiny or fate. Please be practical and understand the reality. As you all know, I'm not someone who's going to give you this unnecessary gyan or unnecessary negative stuff or break your confidence, but this is the ultimate reality, and we all have to somehow go through this together. So this is the honest truth. You could have so many YouTube videos with this particular bait telling when will Australia borders open, with different kinds of things, but people are trying to give lots of petitions to open the borders, to let people come in who are stranded overseas, the temporary visa holders, the student visa holders. People who are students have a lot of questions whether they can consider starting the online course from their hometown. So for such people, there are two different views of seeing this particular scenario. One is, if you feel it is best to stay in India or whichever part of the world you are, and have family support and complete 1 year, because due to COVID, even if you continue your studies overseas, that is considered eligible when you're applying for next successive visa. So that should not hinder in your visa process or PR pathway or whatever visa you're trying to apply after your student visa. So if your condition is beneficial, if you don't mind spending the amount, because they have given some rebates now to continue online education. So if you want to make best use of it, 20% is a huge discount for the student fee. So if you want to avail the situation, then make the most of it. You can go and start your online education. But if you're someone who feels, nah, why do I pay so many thousands of dollars to sit at home and do online? Because there are certain units, certain courses that you can't do online. You have to physically have like a laboratory, like wet lab procedures, like biotechnology and stuff. You cannot do it online. So you can be smart enough and choose the theory subjects and finish it off at home when you have family support, because that's one thing we lack here. So if you fall under that category, if you have a family, if you have a child to take care, then I think that would be a suitable option for you to choose from. But if you are someone who is looking at not spending money to sit at home and do some online courses, in that case, I would strongly suggest you wait, but it's going to be a 1 year wait. I was really hoping that they will open the borders in February 2021 for student visa holders, not for the other visas, because I was very sure. But even that is become a nightmare because of the reoccurrence of COVID in Victoria and the damage it has caused to the economy. So they are completely trying to recover the economy by all possible means, where the chances are very, very slim. So that is the reason they don't want to take another hit by letting people come in and have a community spread. It's as simple as that. So the first thing I wanted to address here is, even before you ask this question, ask yourself, how well prepared are you? And it's the 5% of people, like I mentioned, who already have everything ready in hand and are only struggling to get things done before the validity. It's like they're cat on the wall, and again, it's a matter of spending so many thousands in getting your reassessment done, in getting your PT done. I completely understand the pain, and I'm so sorry that you have to go through this, but it's the reality, and we do not have much options for that. Okay, so please understand this reality even before you ask this question. And it's not going to be anytime soon, I reckon, because if any agent is promising you something like 3 months, no, easy maritime crew visa, I've done so many videos in that, for the simple reason, so many people, you all are so desperate and you just go and get things done. Okay, so you just feel like you give the money, your visa is ready. It's not so easy, trust me. It's not so easy, and after COVID it's going to be even more stringent compared to pre-COVID scenario. So let's accept the facts, let's accept reality and understand and not waste our money. And let's be realistic in our preparation, let's be realistic in our expectation. As always, I've mentioned, the proper timeline for a skilled migration pathway is anywhere between 12 to 15 months. Okay, it's not going to be less anytime soon, because right now they're clearing all the backlogs of 887 visa, which is the onshore PR visa, after 489. So I got it in 15 months when the processing time was 24 months. Okay, when I submitted the application, the processing time was 12 to 14 months. But as time increased, the processing time increased to 22 to 24 months. And I got a direct grant in 15 months. And I was dancing that I got a direct grant and it was so quick. Now people are getting it in 1 month. So you can imagine the time they have to process the onshore applications, for the simple reason they have paused the offshore applications. Now, when everything becomes normal or the new normal, all the offshore applications will start to pile up and we'll have huge amount of applications. So obviously the time frame will still remain 12 to 15 months, I would reckon. But again, it depends on the time when we apply and what are the external factors that is going to contribute to our processing times. Okay, so be realistic. So I'm telling all this for you all, for people who are unidimensional in their approach, who are only thinking this as the option, and who has I did this because I was in my maternity break, obviously, and I didn't want to go back. And I, rented my property. I sold my car. I transported my stuffs to my in-laws' house. So all that I did even before my visa came. I got my invitation, and then I accepted the invitation and I filed for visa, but I didn't know the outcome. But I did everything. I don't know with what guts I did. Now when I think back, I'm like, what would have happened if I didn't get my visa? So if you're someone like me who has done such irreversible things and you're still waiting, then that's a different thing. But for others who are in the process, who are already employed somewhere, stick on to your job, do things that would enhance your profile, do things that would I definitely need to do video about, oh my god, the handy stuff that you all need to know before you move, because all of us after moving here will buy a house. The amount of money you will spend to change a tube light, the amount of money you'll spend to install a fan, to get a damn tree remote, $5,000, kill me. So there are so many things that you can learn, and there are a lot of people who make money being a handyman, being an electrician, who are not licensed, not qualified, obviously, but they know the work what they're doing, and there's a lot of ways that we can make money here. So such things definitely is coming up in the videos for you all to make some extra cash during weekends, or it could be your full-time job. I'm asking my husband to learn some trade, okay, because it'll help us to renovate the property without much expenditure. So there are a lot of things, each of us in our own profile or passion or as a skill set, you can develop. There are so many things to do. It's just that we focus on one thing and we think, okay, that is not there, what to do? So do not have this unidimensional approach. Don't put all eggs in one basket. Whatever proverb suits you, take that and try to concentrate on strengthening your application and keep that aside, and you have your normal job going on, because this is going to be the stuff that we're going to talk about in 2022. Okay, so it's hard to digest, it's hard to accept, but this is the reality. Even if they open offshore application in 2021, say mid 2021, it's going to take a good 8 to 10 months to process. So obviously it's going to be 2022. So we were talking about 2020 as incubation and 2021 as our outcome. Now it's moved another one financial year, unfortunately. But I don't want to give you all false hopes. I don't want to break your confidence. That's the last thing I could do. So let's just accept the reality, and this is what it is. Okay. So I'm sorry if you're disappointed with my title, but this is the best way I could answer this question. There are 100 different ways to tell this or give you all hype or totally break your confidence. But this is my way of telling you there is no need to panic, or there's no need to bother about when they're going to open if you're not prepared. If you're prepared, if you've put the application waiting for an outcome, waiting for your skill assessment to expire, or worrying about spending again to get it, then I completely understand your panic and I completely empathize with you all. Okay, so this is what I wanted to convey. So let's go on to questions for today. Hello, Venkat. Hello, Pandyan. What is the current situation and budget helps for offshore or offshore not this time? I think I've explained this now. So offshore, definitely, it's been so quiet, isn't it? We have no clue about the allocation. But I shared in my Telegram group about the message that I got from SA Migration, from South Australian Migration. So they are saying that they are going to work on some kind of nominations that's starting in November, but I didn't want to do a video. It'll just be a video to attract people, to attract views and people to click on it, and I don't want to give some faltu message. Okay, so that's the reason I didn't do a separate video on it, but this is just a little bit of information that I wanted to give you all, and it was very generic as usual from the department, from the state government. They did not mention whether they are going to consider onshore or offshore. The reason offshore cannot be considered, my opinion, is because of the travel ban. Even if I'm happy to invite someone from offshore, they cannot travel. Okay. So that's the reason I don't think offshore will be of consideration, but probably when I get some more information about the South Australian immigration, about those nominations in November, I will share with you. But that is something to know, that the immigration space is still rolling, it's still moving. Imagine I have such a small following and I get 100 different scenarios, 100 different questions. So the department will get millions of different scenarios and they have to consider all these when they make a decision. Okay, so let's be rational and accept it's going to be a hard decision for them to come to one particular decision to allow people to come in or start immigration or allocate budget amidst all these financial crisis. Okay, so it is a bit of a messed up situation, and we will get this together maybe next year. Hello, Anand Raj. Thank you so much. Makes us move forward. When will regional occupation list be released? No idea. Okay, so Monica, I know about you. Anand Raj, okay, maybe you are also one among the 5%. Sheikh is waiting for state nomination. So it depends, Sheikh, if your skill assessment is still valid. If it's going to expire, your PT is valid. Depending on that, probably we'll have to do the additional steps. So I do not know your individual scenario. Offshore 491 subclass का क्या बनेगा? What do you mean by that? So offshore, there's no news, no information as of now. Currently, biometric centers are short. Is it possible for visas to be granted without biometric submissions from prospectives? It depends. There are some people who had sent me an email about this individual scenario. So they were asked to do it at a different place. They were asked to do it at the, after they come in, they had to do some tests, but I'm not sure. It depends on the country you're from. It depends on your individual scenario. I think it's a very generic question, and I'm sorry, I wouldn't be able to answer. Hello, Adira. I think you pressed enter too quick. Australian immigration, how much total money? Okay, so if you're talking about in general, the first thing is skill migration, skill assessment. So the skill assessment obviously depends on your skill assessment authority based on your occupation. You have different skill assessment authority. I think for VETSs, I paid 40,000 rupees. So you can calculate. I think for trades, it's a little bit more expensive because they've got a personal interview. So you have someone interviewing you over Skype. So that'll be an expensive one. So depend. You can just keep, say, $1,000 for that, and then obviously your English exam like PTE or IELTS, depending on how many times you write, whether you pay for the preparation IELTS coaching, that is again another money. State government nominations are generally free. I think South Australia and few states, they cost a very minimal amount. And for the final fee, it depends on how many people are migrating with you. So there is, if you just go to Google and type Australian visa fee calculator, you can calculate based on how much you spend. So when I paid, it's 100. I'm saying in 1,80,000 rupees for me as a primary applicant, and my husband, who's a dependent adult over 18, I paid 90,000, and for my kids, I think for minors it's 45, so 90. So we paid around 4 lakhs, 3 lakhs something. So 180, 90, 45, 45. Okay, so that was the split. So depending on how many people are traveling, you will have the visa fee. So the simplest way to do it, you can go to visa fees calculator, and based on the dependents, their age, you can calculate it. And I get asked this question very frequently: how much money should I show in my account and how long should I show? So the money bit comes for the simple reason they want you to be self-sufficient. They want you to be independent of a job. So after you move here, if you don't get a job, then obviously they need you to be supportive with self-funded amounts for at least 6 months. So that is the reason. I think I showed around 5 to 6 lakhs for that period when I filed my visa. So that time. So I think that should be good enough. You can just borrow and put it. They're not going to ask you for source of funds. I think for student visa, it's more, you have to be transparent to show. But this one, it's just that, you can just put it in your account and they know that that's the money you're showing as like a security. When you come here, you have some funds. But I literally migrated with $40, I think. We just carried $40 in our hand and we transferred money to my brother-in-law. So they don't check in the airport how much money you've got, but it's just for the visa process. You have to, show that funds, because after you move here, it shows that even if you don't get a job, you still have funds to manage yourself and your family. So I think that answers your question, a general question, but this is the generic information I can provide to the best of my ability. Hi, Atira, I got my visa. Should I know about pilot scheme? I mean, is it applicable for Indian students? As long as I've heard, the pilot scheme is not going ahead, it is not very successful. It was not for new students. So pilot scheme was basically introduced by the university in Canberra. They just wanted to try to bring few people who are overseas, who had gone during COVID, to come back. So the problem, I think, okay, came from who will pay for the quarantine. Everything is expensive, like I told here. Fitting a bulb, getting a tree, and anything here is expensive. So quarantine is like $2,500. So already the student will be paying like $20,000 or $30,000 as fees. So who will pay the quarantine fees? Is this the student? Is it the government, or is it the university? I think that is the only question that is stopping people from bringing people in, because you can't afford anything. You get into an ambulance, it's $1,500. Okay, I got my tooth removed, two tooth for $800. Okay, that's, I've never visited a dentist in India. Okay, so your karma plays like this. So every damn thing is so expensive, and that's why the pilot scheme has been very quiet, not very successful, not so much hype going on about this. So I'm pretty sure it's not for the new students who've got visa, who are planning to migrate next year. Chemist 23421. People think I have all these ANSCO codes in my memory. Unfortunately, no. Come under medtech category in GTI. I don't understand what is GTI, and I don't understand. I mean, I don't remember the code by heart. Unfortunately, it's just my code that I remember. My documents are ready. Monday, I'm going to pay for skill assessment. Very good. Best wishes. Can I proceed? Please proceed. That's what I'm telling you now. Do not waste your time sitting and thinking, when will the gate open? When will they lift the travel ban? You have to be ready to shoot your application, or the state migration, the moment this gate opens. Say for example, marketing specialist. I remember last year it was open only for 3 days, I think, and then the occupation ceiling got reached. So that is why I'm telling, keep an eye on every state migration that's going on. Keep an eye on the news updates, and then you have to shoot it straight away. Okay. So please proceed, Anandraj. My best wishes. If you have any doubts, feel free to reach out. I got my visa for Feb 2021. Can you please say about pilot scheme? I think I've answered that. Adira, 35 years old. I have some doubts. Please tell me how to job gap or education gap. Once upon a time, I had worked Cap Gemini. That time, my probation period. That time, my head is my director. Um, okay, Venkatraj, do you have any further? Because the new comments are coming, it's just scrolling down. They accepted. Okay, this is another question I get asked all the time, whether you can show your work experience certificate and cash as salary without pay slips, because we know, coming from India, how easy it is to get a work experience certificate from your uncle, from your neighbor, from your friend, from anyone on planet Earth. We can get any certificate. Okay, I know it. Okay, we have to admit the fact. So, and this cash business is no longer accepted, because they know we are the ones who have cheated so much in the past that the government has become stringent with the rules. Okay, so they do not accept cash stuff. You need to have money credited in your account and pay slips and all your tax files and all that to be proper. So usually there is a lot of scrutiny when you have bits and pieces of employment, like 6 months here, 8 months here, 4 months here. So for your skill assessment especially, try to make sure you don't have much, you don't give much questions to the examiner, to the assessor. Okay, so whatever company or whatever evidence you are claiming as points. Okay, if you're claiming for educational qualification, you have to be in a position to evidence them. If you're claiming points for 8 years of work experience, you should be able to evidence 8 years of work experience. All right, so whatever you're claiming points, you have to evidence it. If you can't provide proper evidence whatever they are asking for, then probably the chances are going to be very very slim. Okay, so if you have a break and you have proper justification, then there is no problem. Okay, so when you're writing your application, obviously you will have from this month to this month, what did you do? And you have in your application, you have a column where you can justify what breaks you had. When I had my maternity break, I clearly mentioned from this month this year to this month this year, I had my maternity break. And obviously your son's date of birth is going to coincide within that break. Okay, that's where you have to be very very logical, very very honest in writing your document. So be honest always. I've said, if you're honest, there's no problem with this. So career break, there's no problem, but you should be able to justify and evidence them. For example, I said, so if it's a maternity break, obviously your child's birth certificate will match with that. Okay, so I think it'll be an online class. My thought is studying online will affect the aspects of job opportunities. Yeah, like I said, after coming here, it will not matter much. Okay, trust me, mark my words. Whatever you study, however you study, it's not like India. I don't even know where my file is, where my certificates are. Nobody checks here. Nobody has ever checked my physical certificate, or how, if I had studied in Annamala University, correspondence also, there's no problem. Nobody checks here. As long as you can, be genuine, and if you've done the course, especially if you're doing it here, they're going to trust. Okay, they'll trust you more. So it is not, an online education is not a factor which will determine your job prospects. Okay, it's not like India where you get a lot of conference attendance certificate, project attended certificate, but what did you do in that project? It's more of real time experience, and who is going to provide reference for you. Obviously when you're studying here, your dean might give you a reference, your teacher might give you a reference. That will be a very very strong document. Okay, so don't worry about online courses affecting your job opportunities. It will not affect. Okay, the only thing it will affect is, like I said, your thought process of spending versus doing it online, or spending versus doing it at the comfort of your home. That's a personal choice. I wouldn't be able to comment. When I joined, English is not good. Suddenly she fired, only 4 months. Can I add this company and experience in skill assessment? If you cannot provide good reference from that company, please do not add. 4 months is not going to make a big difference if you're not going to add it. If you can't provide a reference, if they ask for it, if you can't provide proper evidence, please do not add and risk yourself. What about people who receive temporary skill visa just before borders closed and can't enter due to travel ban? When they will be given extension of visa? So it is up to you to apply to the department, because in your visa you would have had it written, must not arrive after, and there'll be a date that's mentioned. Imagine that date is November 2020. Okay, so you write to the department, and there is a clause where they are changing it without an extra fee, because for visitor visa they're doing that now. Okay, so people who are here, who are stuck, who cannot travel back home, so obviously if their visa is going to expire, before expiry they have to apply for an extension, which is again an extra additional fee. So those people, they are extending their visa without any extra fees. So please write well in advance to the department asking that this is the issue that you have. You can't travel due to travel ban, and they know it. So you will change that particular visa, and you'll be given. So it's better to reach the department before your that date comes. Must not arrive after. So my second company, only 1 month they gave salary in hand, not put in bank. So please don't um, do this. And if your name is wrong, then I think there is a form that you fill in to correct your details that is given. But again, all this adds to the complication and more scrutiny. Is it possible to renew a skill assessment? You have to reapply. There is no way to renew because of the times. So obviously, it's valid for 2 years. In the last 2 years, skill assessment is considered for the last 5 years or for the past 10 years. So for the past two, after 2 years of skill assessment, if you're applying, obviously there's no way to renew because you would have done something in the last 2 years that would affect the outcome of the skill assessment. That's the whole point. So there's no renewal. You will have to reapply. Hello, Mahmood. Hmm. So, yeah, I've answered all your questions, Venkat Raja. Due to the COVID, NATI exams are conducted online, so you can apply, but the dates are very stringent. So, if you are taking it seriously, it's better to book your dates. Are there good job getting courses that can be done online from India? I've always mentioned we have to get out of that desi thought process of doing a course to get a job. Okay, so I've done so many videos for student visa holders or aspiring student visa holders or even migrants for building a very strong portfolio on whatever you all are doing other than doing a course. Okay, nobody sees the certificates here, trust me, no one sees the certificate. It's all about, you can write in your resume that you are a Google certified personnel. As long as you can evidence them, you can write it. Okay, and you get asked only when you're when they check for references, when they check for different documents. But all these certificates doesn't matter if you can't show that skill. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So there's no course that will get you a job. It's only a skill that will get you a job. So try to enhance your skills, okay, by doing free courses. Don't spend money. You're going to spend so much money for skill migration. You're going to spend so much money for student visas. So do not spend so many thousands and thousands on courses to just get a certificate. But if that course is going to empower you with a skill, if you can evidence it with a real time project, if you can show some kind of an outcome out of it, okay, in that case, go for it. All right. So please don't waste just to get a certificate will not get you a job here. It, if you have like a proper like Oracle certified thing, or the MCSE certification, that will definitely help for your resume to stand out. But just doing a course will not get you a job. Okay, it's all about what skills you bring to the table. It's all about how much you can have transferable skills in when you're applying for another role which is not directly related to your previous role or your current role. So we've done so many lives based on job preparation, resume preparation, and all that. So if you have questions, I would suggest please go and watch those videos, and then if you have a very specific question, please come back and I'm happy to answer. So NATI and PT validity for immigration, yes, they are validity, bound, and you'll have to check those dates on your, certificate that's been given to you. And based on that, if you have passed that before you apply, okay. So if you're waiting to apply for skill migration and all these point system, all that counts, and even when you apply for visa, you'll have to fulfill those conditions. So it has to be a valid document at the time of application. All right, it is a different scenario when it expires after you apply and you're waiting for an outcome. But at the time of application, you're expected to have valid documents and valid approvals. What are the chances for electrical engineers offshore? I don't even want to answer this question now, Sai Darshan. I'm so sorry because we have no idea about the points, about the occupation caps, about whichever courses. But electrical engineering is definitely the core industry is wanted here. But chances about the point system for different subclasses, we'll have to wait, my friend. My consultant is asking me to put my skill assessment on priority where I will pay 600 AUD extra. Can I proceed for that or can I hold? No, don't put all priority schemes. Take it, it's going to, obviously, the visa process is going to take some time. Okay. So there is no need for you to spend extra to get anything on priority and sit and wait for the door to open. So apply for skill migration, wait for the outcome with the normal timeline. Do not pay for anything $600. All these things is what makes my blood boil. Okay. When people misguide you and rip you off. So please do not do that. Apply for the skill migration through normal stream and wait for the outcome genuinely. All right. Hello, Alok. Hi, Priya. Where can 489 onshore people can call their family to Adelaide, the two on a reasonable cost? Um, I didn't understand your question. Are you asking about subclass 600? So you have my number, Alok. So we will talk over the phone. So let's go to the next question. My y-axis consultant told me all company pay slips are needed. Is it true? Yes, it is true. You need all company pay slips if you are going to evidence it. Uh, this global talent visa, these days I'm getting a lot of questions about this, but they don't understand that, there are only very few industries which are recognized under that particular scheme, and you should be able to evidence and show and prove that you are eligible for 153k plus, which is like 1,53,000 some salary in Australia, and some delegate in your field, say cybersecurity, someone working in cybersecurity in Australia who is an Australian national or a permanent resident holder should be able to, give a letter of recommendation or like referral saying that you would be a national asset. And so that is how it's done. So it's easy as it sounds, the quickest way to get permanent residency, but it has its own traps that not many applications can fulfill. If you are extraordinary in your field, if you are like, I know a person in robotics who has done so many new inventions and patents in robotics, so he would be definitely a suitable applicant for a global talent visa. Okay, I'm talking about such things where you have exceptional exceptional qualification and skill sets with evidences like patents, for example. So such people would fall under the global talent visa, and it's very very stringent with the skill sets that come under those eligibility. So revisit that, Swapnil, and then we can discuss further. Mm, offshore immigration in 2021 because borders have closed till late and they have halted the offshore migration. Yes, that's what Jatin, this whole video is all about. And I have answered it in the first part of the video, and I guess you'd have seen it. ACS does not delete uploaded files for skill assessment. Made a mistake attaching a file. Would this affect the results? So you could just write like a self declared letter to the assessment authority. Just say, to whomsoever it may concern, I had made a mistake attaching the wrong document, unless you have attached some fake document. Okay, I don't know if that's the case, but just tell them this is a mistake, and this is the you just write the document name format like .doc or .pdf. Tell them that's in. So please ignore or disregard that document, and please consider this for whatever. Blah blah blah. Just write document, self-attested, upload it, and you should be able to go, or contact ACS email. Like they would definitely have the customer service email or inquiries email. Just email them with the reference number that you've got once you've submitted, that I had submitted for this particular occupation on this particular date, and I made this mistake. So it's all about being transparent. If you're transparent, there's no issues here. I've completed BA English, MA English from India, and MA from UK. I'm 31 years old. Can I do a master's course in Australia? Is it possible? depends on what course you want to do. If it's definitely related to your previous education and previous your work experience, and it is like all student visa holders pass through a genuine entrance test. Like, the department assesses basically, are they a student or are they a potential migrant. So they know they come under a student visa category, but they're potentially trying to trick the system or whatever. So if you fall under that system, so 31 is not a huge age to not come under the visa, because I know people who are in that category in student visa here. So that shouldn't be a problem, unless if you're going to choose something really random, then there might be some questions. But as long as I see, there's no problem. So good luck. You can go ahead with that. Scroll pretty quickly. What are the chances for facility managers for 491 visa for offshore? We don't know, Jatin. We'll have to wait. Who comes in as dependent? Is it mandatory to submit his educational qualification for applying for visa? Depends if you are claiming points for your spouse points. Otherwise, you definitely need to show your relationship with them if you're claiming them as a dependent. So there are certain people who come under dependents. So usually for Indians, it's parents, a brother, sister, wife, children. That's how it goes. Here it's a different, whole setup. But yeah, you should be able to prove it with your Aadhaar card, if you with your ration card, with your, or whatever documents you have. And you have to submit the educational qualification if you are claiming points for them. Otherwise, that will just be like an identification document that you attach for them if they are dependents. Then my wife got pregnant. Would that affect my application? If wife is the primary applicant, in that case, there is a form. It's called, I forgot the number, but that form is like change of state. So the change of situation. So if your address gets changed, if your phone number, email gets changed, or any change of your circumstance, you notify the department. So in that case, there is this is something very usual they come across. So there's no complication in your case, but you will have to let the department know with documents when you're submitting the document. Attach supporting documents like your test, pregnancy test, doctor visits, and all that. Compile it into one PDF and apply. So there shouldn't be a problem with that. TRA profession is a demand one always, right? So now what are the chances for offshore now? Okay, two separate questions. All right. TRA is always in demand. There is no doubt about it. And chances for offshore now, not now. Okay. But if you are coming by trades, definitely you will be earning more. Like I said, oh my God, how much the tradies earn, you will know when you're spending it. What would be the latest PR points when immigration are open? I don't know astrology, unfortunately. We'll have to wait and see for that, because I'm not predicting anything here. All I share is whatever I know and whatever I read, and little bit of common sense that I use to tell you all things, because it's not easy to just throw your words out in the world where people from different countries, from different perceptions, perceive it differently. So I have to be as generic and as logical as possible. And I think I'm doing that. So I cannot mislead without any information. I'm so sorry. Which country is better to migrate? Australia, Canada? You asking me that question when I have migrated to Australia. So I've answered this question before in another live. So I had these two options as well, Australia and Canada. But Canada at that time, I'm talking about 2014-ish, 14, 15-ish, seemed more like a gamble. You throw your application in the pool, and it takes years. People say it just takes years, and you don't know once it comes back, and then you just get your visa. So I am such an impatient soul, and I can't take such random moves. So I would prefer a stringent timelined process, and Australia is definitely better in terms of the national pay rate. It's much better in terms of climate, because we mostly come from tropical kind of a climate. But so it's kind of better compared to Canada. I could be wrong. This is just my personal opinion. And the lifestyle itself is pretty good. So everything is very nice about Australia, and this is my best decision I've ever taken in my life, and that's why I'm sharing all my positive vibes with all of you. That please take this risk. I took that risk in my early 30s, which not many people take, with two kids, leaving my 1 year old and coming here. But it's definitely worth it. All the sacrifices you do for your children, you do for your family, will be worth it one day, and not very late. Okay, but again, it depends on how much sacrifice you do, how much hard work you do, how much smart work we do. Okay, so just in case my wife would like to go study culinary in Australia, is there for a year or two, and would I be still able to go with her? It's like you all do split messages, and I have to connect all the messages. Okay, so for your direct question, if your wife is studying as a student, you can definitely accompany with her, depending on what course she's studying. If they're doing masters, the dependent can work unlimited hours. There's no restriction. But if you're doing bachelors, then there is restriction on the number of hours the independent person is working on. Okay, so it's better if you check with whatever course they're doing based on that. Um, Please share your number to connect with you on Telegram. So Telegram, I've got a separate group, so you can check that under different videos I've given. So you can connect with me in that group and ask your doubts. That's the best way to reach. One of my friend, he got PR saying that immigration agents have special priority. Um, Not necessarily, because every application, it is just a column that they ask whether your application is being done by an agent, for the simple reason privacy is a huge issue here. Okay, so someone cannot give my number or even my name to someone else, whoever has asked for it, without my permission. Okay, that's like a huge thing here. So because someone else is accessing your personal details, someone else is acting on your behalf and submitting your application, and they will also get the outcome, whatever result it is. You get your visa accepted, your visa is rejected, whatever it is. So that is basically like a declaration where the agent will sign on that thing, that I'm acting on behalf of him, and you as an applicant will sign that application saying that, okay, I'm happy for this person to act on my behalf and access my records, to get the outcome, to know my information. So that is the only thing. There is no priority queue like Tirupati Darshan, where you pay extra 200 rupees and go in front and see the god. There is no special priorities for immigration agents, or everything gets into the pool and it is processed in its own way. And this question also I get asked all the time about the Mara agents, whether there are special considerations, whether I have to choose Mara registered agents. And the honest truth, when you're here, is when you are processing stuffs here, people go to Mara registered agents when it is a very, very complicated scenario. When you have expired your visa, your bridging is expired, and you've complicated your visa, you've violated the terms, you've put some case in the court, and so it is very expensive to hire lawyers, immigration lawyers, and Mara agents. Every hour they charge. But our country, you walk into a Y-Axis or any consultant office, they are similar to clerks and admin staff, who have been trained in the process and who are doing it for you. At the back end, they say, many people say that work by Mara agents. I'm not sure how much it is true. I'm not here to be an anti-agent person, okay? But I'm only talking because of the bad experience. And after these visa scam videos, so many emails and so many things that I get every day from people showing off letters from Australia. There was a doctor, I think he was from Oman or Muscat, he might be watching. He sent me an offer letter from an Australian public hospital that he's been chosen. And it looks so legit, but from the visa that they have written, the terms that they have written, that is not the way Australian contracts are written. Australian contract letters have a specific format with the fair work policy. It's very easy to find out, because I've seen my brother's Singapore visa, I've seen Dubai, Kuwait, my uncle's documents, and it looks very similar to that. That is not how Australian contract letters are given from employers, especially if it's an overseas person. It's not the way that it's given. Okay, so that's the reason I'm telling you all, don't get obsessed with these terms like Mara registered agents, but they are legit. You can check the list of Mara agents on Australian government website. So they will give you, based on every state who are there, you can search with their names whether they are registered Mara agents or not. So such questions, if you ask to your agent, okay, if they say your document will be processed by a Mara agent, you can ask for their name, you can ask for their registration ID, and you can check whether they are legit or not. But for the process itself, there is no advantage of just saying that your paper is processed by a Mara agent when you don't know who is processing it, if that makes sense. So people just get carried away. You know how in India we get Government of India registered certificates, but anyone can issue that certificate with that business schemes. So things like that is how we are getting carried away, because we're used to thinking that these certificates are valid. If you have the government emblem, then it is more valid. So such things is what every person gets carried away. So the purpose, don't get scammed. Don't go and fall easily to people and say, take my $1,000, take my lakhs of rupees, and I'm not going to bother, or I'm going to just cry and say it's my fate. Okay, so there's no point in doing that. So it's better if we are aware of the terms. That's why I'm educating you all with the terminologies that you can use to question people. If you're going to an agent with shortage of time, I completely understand, there's no trouble with it, but just don't go blindly without knowing what's the process, without knowing any steps, without knowing what are the documents that are involved, what are the terminologies, what are the subclass. Okay, that is the last thing you want to do to yourself. So this whole process is a very transparent process. You can do it by yourself. If you don't have time, it's okay, you can have someone else acting on your behalf and doing these things. All they're going to do is consolidate all the information that you're going to give, because nobody else can give them your certificate, nobody else can give them your pay slips. So you're going to give everything, and it's going to get uploaded onto different portal. And I've seen, it was very funny when that girl called me. She said, my agent is telling I cannot see what is happening, it is password protected. I'm like, it's your data, and who cannot see, so it's funny how people threaten, and because we are used to it. In India, it's a totally different system, and once you come here, you will know it's not the case. It's very transparent. Anybody should be able to log into the ME account and see what process is going on. It's a fairly straightforward process. Okay, so do not hesitate to ask them legitimate questions, and get more clarity on what is required. And if we have any more questions, will they bring back international students in 2021? I told you, no, they've given clear notification that 2021, it's going to be online education. We don't know about the second half of 2021, but let's just make up our mind. It's going to be 2022. Okay. If I'm 7 months gap and in that time I prepared for TNPC government exam, are they accepted this gap? No, if you just say I'm sitting at home and preparing for exam, that is not a valid evidence that they would take. Hema, very well explained for each and every question. Thank you so much, Hema. Thank you, Swapnil. I think I've answered all the questions for today, and I hope I've answered the question when the travel is going to be open. So please understand the reality. This is the reality. I've spoken genuinely what I feel. I don't want to just do videos frequently to say, hey, good news, Australia. That's not the whole point of the channel, to just get views, get people hooked to watch videos. That's not the whole point, and I don't want to give you all hype, or I don't want to frustrate you all. So okay, he's asking me for 5K AUD, mailing me continuously, how to do ME and all other process. Okay, let's do that in the next video, or send me an email to this channel name, metacaretribe@gmail.com, and I will answer you, Mujib. Okay. I thank you all for your time, and I'll see you all next week in another interesting live video. Bye bye.